Hey y'all, I'm Stacy with SouthernBite.com. Let me show you how easy it is to make my easy peanut butter fudge. If you love this recipe, do me a favor, like the video, and then subscribe to the channel. That way you'll get a notification every time we post great new recipes. Sometimes folks can be a little intimidated by making homemade fudge, but I'm going to show you just how quick and easy it is. Now, if you've ever heard of fantasy fudge that uses the marshmallow cream, this is actually a version of that, but we're going to change those chocolate flavors into peanut butter flavors. Let me show you how to do it. In a saucepan here, I'm going to turn this over medium heat. I've got 3 cups of regular white granulated sugar. I've got about 3/4 of a cup of unsalted butter, that's 12 tablespoons. And I've got a 5-ounce can of evaporated milk. Take note, 5 ounces, 5 ounces. I'm going to say it again, it's 5 ounces. You're going to see this come in a couple of different sizes in the grocery store. Make sure it's 5 ounces. And it's evaporated milk, not sweetened condensed milk. They are not the same. Going to pour that in, stir this to combine, and we're going to bring this to a boil, and right when it starts boiling around the edges, then we're going to start watching, because the goal here is to cook this sugar mixture to 235 degrees. That's about the soft ball stage in terms of candy making. So we're going to watch this pretty closely so that we can ensure that we have perfect fudge. We're going to hit that 235 temp. All right, I'm stirring away. If you happen to have an extra set of hands in the kitchen, it's probably a good time to employ them because this can take a little time to get it to temperature. But getting it to temperature is the most important part of this. Again, the goal is 235 degrees. I'm going to use an instant read thermometer here to do that. If you have a candy thermometer, you can always use that. The goal here is that to not put your thermometer all the way to the bottom of your pan because of course it's going to be hotter down there. So somewhere between the top surface and the bottom of your pan is kind of where you want to keep that thermometer and just stir. Again, the goal is 235. Now, you may have been told in the past that you can't make fudge or candy or whatever when it's humid or raining outside. Understanding the science of candy making is really about sugar and moisture. And when there's a lot of moisture in the air, it's harder to cook the moisture out of a mixture like this because there's so much moisture in the air. You can still make fudge and candy when it's humid outside. You may just have to cook it to a little bit of a higher temperature. In this case, rather than 235, I'd probably cook this to about 238. And you're going to want to stir this pretty much constantly because the sugar can scorch, and once that's happened, there's nothing you can do. All right, so we're right there at that 235 spot, so I'm going to turn the heat off, and then we're going to add our other ingredients. I've got a 10-ounce bag of peanut butter chips here. I've got about 1/3 of a cup of peanut butter. Now, I'm using creamy peanut butter, but you can certainly use chunky peanut butter if you'd like. And then the secret ingredient that makes this fudge so much easier than the traditional method is marshmallow cream. Now, the traditional method of making fudge calls for you to cook your sugar, your butter, your cocoa, chocolate, whatever it is. You allow that to kind of get to room temperature, and then you use a whisk or whatever to literally beat the heck out of it because the goal is to beat air into it so it has that nice silky, fluffy texture. Well, we all don't have time for that. Swapping to this method where we incorporate the marshmallow cream is that shortcut because the marshmallow cream has the air beaten into it. It's already light and fluffy. And because marshmallow cream has a little bit of corn syrup in it, that corn syrup helps to prevent crystallization so that we're going to end up with nice creamy fudge and not fudge that has sugar crystals in it. So I got that all combined, and then we're just going to stir. And this is going to take a little bit for all of that marshmallow cream to melt, but we're just going to stir away till we get that nice and combined. All right, this is nice and combined. Now, some recipes like this, you may see the recipe call for vanilla extract, vanilla flavoring. Here's the thing though, this marshmallow cream has tons of vanilla flavoring in it, so I think it's one ingredient that we don't necessarily need, but if you want to, you could certainly add some into the mix here. I've got an 8x8 inch pan that I've sprayed with a little non-stick cooking spray. You could also brush this with butter. You could make a little sling with some parchment paper. I like to use metal sometimes because sometimes it's a little bit easier to get this out if you want to slice it up and make it nice and pretty. And then we're just going to pour this mixture very carefully because it is still very hot right into our prepared pan here. Now, when I was younger, we almost always used a Dutch oven to make this. And when you have two sets of hands in the kitchen, that's great. But if you're making it yourself, having a pot with a handle like this certainly does make that process of pouring it into here a whole lot easier. Then we're just gonna smooth this out, and you can see this is already starting to firm up a little bit. Now, it's perfectly fine exactly like it is. But if you wanna add a little crunch, I've got about a cup of cocktail peanuts, just salted peanuts here that I'm gonna sprinkle right over the top. And I've done this a few different ways. I've done roasted salted peanuts, I've done dry roasted peanuts, honey roasted peanuts. It just gives it a little crunch that goes right on the top. And you can just sprinkle just as many as you want right on the top. We're gonna let this cool to room temperature, and then we can slice and enjoy. Now, when it comes time for you to choose your pan, like I said before, metal or glass will work. The thing that I like about metal is that it often has a little flex to it. So in this case, what I can do is just press the bottom just a touch, and that entire thing of fudge is gonna flip right out. I can flip it over and then slice it right up. Folks, you can find this full recipe by heading over to the website at southernbite.com. I've also got the chocolate version of this recipe there listed under Easy Christmas Fudge. This one can be found just by searching Easy Peanut Butter Fudge. You can find this, tons of tips, and other great recipes for whatever your holiday celebration might require. Y'all enjoy.